Hey, welcome to the City Rev Life podcast. Today's going to be a little bit different. I'm here with Pastor Robey, and how about you talk about how today's going to be different?
Well, we are going to do a 10-minute podcast.
Yeah.
Your questions answered about the big three things for the One Generation Initiative: Miami Springs, Digital Innovation Hub Campus. I'm going to start the timer, Dan, because we're going to hold ourselves to it 10 minutes.
Actually, before you do that, what happened to your voice on Sunday? That was weird. Like, first service was fine, second service was good.
You're weird, Dan.
I am, but your voice was weird on Sunday.
That's true. That was a first, and I'm still recovering a little bit. Some laryngitis. So first service, my voice was strained. Second service, more strained. Third service, this has never happened to me. I came out on stage and I thought we'd be good to go just with a little bit of a strained voice. No words came out. So it was, that was a little bit concerning. But our amazing tech team that Ronnie Corona leads were ready. They rolled the video. We were good to go.
Incredible. Are you going to be good for today's podcast?
I don't know. We'll see. We have no video, so I better be good.
I hope so.
We better get through it.
Yeah. If not, we can dub a voice over you.
Can I start the timer now?
Yeah,
Dan?
we don't have time for banter.
Okay.
We don't have time.
What
are you doing? Let's start it.
All right. 10 minutes, Dan. Let's do this.
Okay, let's start with the first question. The first question is about the Miami Springs campus we were talking about. We said the first thing we're going to be doing is to launch the Miami Springs campus. The question is, when will that be launched?
Yes. So the main big question we're getting about Miami Springs, and we got, I think, the fewest questions about Miami Springs, probably because we've been talking about this so much over the last couple of years. The main question is, when will it launch? And the honest truth is, we really don't know. We're hustling as fast as we can. Our hope is sometime and our expectation at this point is within 2026. Maybe the safe place to say is August. If it can happen before that, that's awesome. But we're limited at this point to construction, to deadlines, permits. What would you add? You're in the middle of it, Dan.
Yeah,
what would you add
I would
to that?
say, our contractor has an excellent timeline. And so far, they have met every deadline on the timelines. They've been doing a great job keeping pace. But with construction, so much of it is dependent on the inspectors, on the city's schedule. Sometimes there are delays that are unforeseen, or you run into additional problems. So we have an idea when it's going to launch, but we don't feel like we can confidently say a date yet because of the nuance of construction.
Yes.
So we think August is a very safe date. We're praying, hoping, leaning, scheduling to go before then.
Yes.
But we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, we have 8 minutes and 19 seconds.
All right, let's go. Question number 2 is about the discipleship app.
Yes.
We talked about this discipleship app. There seems to be some question about wow, we said $500,000. Is that what we just spent on an app?
Yes, and this is a good point for clarification.
Okay.
And I think part of the confusion is we did just change over our app.
Yeah.
And we've also said we want to continue pushing forward into digital innovation, and we have a round number of something like $500,000 over the next several years. The app we just transitioned to is not at all a part of the One Generation giving.
Okay.
So anything being given to the One Generation initiative is giving to future innovations. The app we just transitioned to is already covered in our church budget. That's already was much less than that. It was not having anything to do with the One Generation giving. What we're wanting to do from here is, but they are related, and I think this is why this is a little bit of a confusing thing, because the app we just transitioned to is run and built by the app developer that we're wanting to continue these conversations with. And so we actually got on this new app because we wanted to test some of the things that we want to push deeper into. So what we already have in the app, that none of the One Generation initiative giving goes towards that. It just goes to future development from there. What would you add? You're actually also in the middle of this one as well. So what would you add to that?
Well, first I'd say if you haven't seen the new City Rev app, what are you doing? You're missing out.
Where have you been?
Where have you been? It's been out for over a month, I believe. So
almost 2 months, Dan.
Almost 2 months. So if you haven't, whatever app store you go to.
What planet have you been on? You know?
clearly not this one.
Not this one.
But just go to your app store, City Rev Church. You can download the app. It's free. Create an account. It's the best way to navigate life and connect to the community here at City Rev. So the app we moved to because we wanted the future growth potential of customizing an app. And that's why we went with this app developer. The number we came up with, or that we are using in the One Generation Initiative for app development, is based on the best estimate on people who are in the industry. That's not we have an invoice, this is the total price.
Yes.
It's our best understanding of what it could cost to do that full development.
Yeah, and we haven't committed to, we've got no contracts, we haven't committed, and there's a high likelihood that it'll be much less than that. Yeah. I mean, it could be, less than half of that. That's just based on our initial discussions. And I think more transparently, when we were starting the conversation about app development, it had been a long time, and I'm not in the industry of app developing, but we had some other conversations about app developing many years ago. And so we started talking with some of the experts in that industry in our church body before we were, while we were, and before and after we were talking with this one developer. And I remember honestly, there's a little bit of a sticker shock for me, like, oh, wow, we're going to be in the six figures to be developing an app. I didn't realize that. And so that was a little bit of an adjustment, but if since those numbers have been confirmed by those in the industry. And part of that, I think, is because so much of what's happening is moving more towards app-based, in just almost any industry is moving to that. And so that's becoming more and more important. And so, I think that again, we're hoping and planning that we won't actually be spending all of that, but that could be, and so we're kind of using that as a round number.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. And the other thing I'd add to that is, thinking about this as an additional service we could add, or like an additional feature, kind of falls short of what we're actually trying to do. Using it as digital discipleship actually moves it more into the space of like creating another auditorium,
right,
or another building to have small groups in, or something of that nature, where it's creating additional space, a digital space to disciple people. Yeah.
And there's how many actual users on the new app right now?
There's about just over 800 on the current app.
Yeah. So I think a better way, especially, I think this makes sense when you think of how things are moving digitally. So many people are engaging there. I mean, over 800. So imagine we built a ministry space where there are over 10,000 prayers happening, and there's Bible study happening and community happening. Imagine we could build a space for over 800 people, like an actual physical location, for $500,000. We'd all be like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's digital because that's where that's going. And so that it's becoming that central to how we engage with one another.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the other thing to be clear is what we have right now is not what we're talking about using those funds for. It's kind of like we're, you could say we're in a leased warehouse space right now. And we want to actually further develop and create better on-roads and better leadership in that digital space. And that's that $500,000.
Yes.
Okay, we're running out of time. You're talking way too long.
It's all my fault, clearly.
I haven't said a thing. All right. How much time do we have left?
Well, we only have 2 minutes and 16 seconds, Dan. We better hustle. We got Hub Campus questions.
Yes. All right. Hub Campus. Really, the big question is trying to clarify, like, are we talking about building from the ground up? Like, are we looking for acres of blank space? Or are we going to repurpose a Winn-Dixie? Like, what's going on here?
Yes. And I think the question is, we're open to either of those options. There are advantages to both. We're looking along the I-75 corridor, maybe a mile in either direction, maybe roughly from like Miramar to Royal Palm, maybe more, but that's kind of maybe the target area. And so, blank space is a little bit longer and usually more expensive. And there's really not much of that in South Florida. But it's the most customizable for long-term. Finding the space that's already built and renovating it, also not inexpensive, but also hard to find because it's got to have the right parking, ceiling height, zoning. And so This is just going to be one of those things that God has the space and he's going to provide it. And we're already actively looking. We've been looking for more than a year. There's been actual locations that we've gone and talked to, and we've got an amazing team from both inside City Rev and outside City Rev that have real expertise in this, not only just in real estate in general, but also ministry in particular. And so that are really advising us. And so it could be either.
Awesome.
What else, Dan?
We did this. We've got 30 seconds left.
Did we answer all the questions?
Well, there's a lot more we could talk about, but for the sake of time, actually, you know what? Let's break the rules. I've got one more question for you.
Here we go, Dan.
I thought this was an excellent question. One of the things that came up in the mission briefing that we talked about is letting people know, hey, this hub campus idea has been on our heart for a long time. This isn't a new idea that we just came up with. And we talked about in 2018, we had a financial initiative called Extravagant, where we talked about building out the kids space, adding a second campus and a hub campus. And we raised funds then. So somebody asked like, hey, what happened to the funds that we raised in 2018? Where did those go?
Great question. Well, for starters, the first step was to expand the kids ministry space, which we did. And then that actually created greater capacity to grow in this space. And then we took a little break through COVID. Then we launched Cooper City. So some funds went to preparing to launch Cooper City. And then from there have had a healthy reserve and war chest to prepare for some of these future expenses. And then God also brought the Miami Springs campus. What would you add?
Yeah, I would say one of the nuances of something like this is we're not saying these 3 steps will be accomplished by this financial initiative. We're saying these are our next 3 steps. So we're charting the course of where we're going to be going in the future, not saying this is all that will be accomplished. With that being said, I think that's exactly right. Where did the funds go from 2018? Well, a large portion of it went to building out the kids space. Another large portion of it went to launching Cooper City. And then the third step that we said was a hub campus. And we did set aside funds that we are currently using to get Miami Springs up and running. But as that financing process moves along, a lot of those funds are coming back to us to have some seed money to be able to move toward a hub campus. So it's not that we raised funds for a hub campus that are no longer around. All the funds that we did raise were used on those 3 initiatives. And that's kind of what we're doing here as well. We're saying, hey, these are the next 3 things we're planning on doing. This is the things the money will go toward. And in the next 2 years, we want to take major steps toward them. We don't know that we'll be able to accomplish everything in the next 2 years, but we want to take major steps toward them.
Yeah, these next 2 years are launching us towards those things. And but we're not waiting around. I mean, we're aggressively going to move forward on all 3 of these areas.
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
Dan, that wasn't 10. Now we can't say we did it in 10 minutes, Dan.
Well, through the miracle of editing and people listening to us at 1.2 speed or 1.5 speed.
1.5 speed. There you go.
That's how we did it. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the City Rev Life Podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to the City Rev Life Podcast. Feel free to subscribe and leave a rate and review. We love it when you share it with your friends on social media, so don't forget to tag us at cityrev.church. If you're interested in more resources, download our City Rev Church app and follow us on social media. Have a great day.